Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour. Today, that is a day that has been described by so many as a Black Tuesday for Cameroon, Tuesday for Anglophones, Tuesday for the people of the Northwest region, Tuesday, Black Tuesday for the militants of Social Democratic Front, a Black Tuesday for the people of Santa Subdivision, Black Tuesday for the people of Baba 2. The enigmatic leader of the Social Democratic Front, Fru Ndi, died yesterday at exactly 11:30 p.m. in Yaoundé, the nation's capital, and since morning the nation has been pouring tributes, tons and tons of tributes to a man who braved the odds in the early 90s to kickstart the multi-party system that we are in today. It is a day full of emotions when we look at videos coming out from his residence in Bamenda and Yaoundé. So many stories are being told by his family, his collaborators, and a host of others. It is actually a sad day for Cameroon. It is a sad day even for us out here at My Media Prime Hour, to be precise. We are going to be talking about the life of a man who has impacted Cameroonians, Africans, and so many across the world by the way he did politics, described as many, by many as grassroots politicking. This evening we are going to be looking at his life with one of our regular panelists. He is a consultant who knows the man Fru Ndi. Apostle Ambe Valintine is with me in the studio today to talk about Fru Ndi. Good evening. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians, and welcome to today's edition of Prime Hour. It is a very sad day. We are mourning. I think all those who are watching right now with us, let's give a minute of silence to pay homage to this fallen hero Cameroon, Africa, and the world has lost. With respect to the great politician in our continent and this nation, Cameroon in particular, we say rest in peace, Chairman, as you are fondly called. Thank you.
Rest in peace, Chairman Fru Ndi, National Chairman of the Social Democratic Front. We're going to be talking about the man this evening. We are hoping to have a member of the shadow cabinet of the Social Democratic Front to join us in the course of this program. But I'll start with you, Apostle Ambe Valintine. When the news reached you that Fru Ndi was no more, were you taken by surprise?
Yes, Mr. Leo. The person I least expected to have died now is the chairman, Fru Ndi. Because with all eyes fixed, we were waiting for the convention that was coming up, where he was definitely going to hand power as a role model to democracy in the country Cameroon, somebody we have looked closely, and all the tendencies of true 21st century democracy has been demonstrated by Fru Ndi. And we must say, whether we are politicians or not, whether we love him or not, whether we accept these realities or not, Fru Ndi is a pathfinder, a trailblazer, and a cause charter when it comes to practical pure democracy in Cameroon. As a matter of fact, he has left a legacy that generations that are yet to come will enjoy that legacy, because he paved a way of true democracy, a man of peace, a man of honor, a man that had value for human lives, a man that respected the sacredness of human dignity, and a man that has always pressed through democratic principles and diplomatic approach in solving crises. Somebody who has never believed in the battle of the gun, even when they had the opportunity to cause a stir in the whole nation and to cause disorder, anarchy, and pandemonium almost everywhere in this country. He held his peace, not just as a politician, but first as a father who has children, and secondly as a statesman that bothers for the well-being of his own people. And I think that legacy will live forever as far as Fru Ndi is concerned. This is one of the most outstanding democratic leaders I have seen. As the party name goes, Social Democratic Front, Fru Ndi is a true socialist, true democratic, and also a frontliner. We were going to miss him, but we pray that his legacy lives on, and let all those who are coming after him and the ones he has mentored, the mentees under him, take his footstep. With men like that, we're going to have a better society to live in tomorrow. Most of us were very young in the 90s when multipartyism was introduced in Cameroon and Fru Ndi challenged the status quo. The first political party that challenged the status quo went in for elections, and it was purportedly described as him being the winner. Most of us knew he was a winner, and we celebrated that there was going to be a shift and a paradigm shift in leadership in this country, but unfortunately things did not turn out. What we were expecting Fru Ndi as an ordinary African leader to do was to cause a total disorder and anarchy in the northwest and the nation Cameroon, because the entire 10 regions of this country assembled behind John Fru Ndi. At that moment, any ordinary leader without humanity, without the sacredness of human life, and without a technocrat in democracy would have caused serious confusion in this country. But we were surprised when Fru Ndi told everybody, don't pick guns, don't pick sticks, don't pick stones. Sit down and watch. Democracy is not war by the barrel of the gun. Democracy is by casting votes and making the difference.
Casting votes and making a difference. Let's take reactions of some of his close collaborators as expressed at his residence in Bamenda, in Tarikon, precisely today.
Him sings long. Sings long. Because people thought that he came to form the exit. No. We started fighting for this country long before SDF came. He is a strong man. I want to tell you that I've kept a secret. Kept 37 years before he died. But now that the plantain branch has fallen down, those who want to know him to come and let's say how this man was strong.
Chairman Fru Ndi was a man of wisdom. I think each time you talk with him, you learn. And he was our mentor. He has mentored us since 1990 to date. And that is the greatest thing that we are going to lose, because each time we are with him, he always have pieces of advice to teach to us, which impact our life on a day-to-day basis.
The leader of the party handing over to the next generation. He was supposed to do that in July, when we'll be having the meeting, but he did not. Death took him on our way. Second, his setting up of the new structures that we expected, because we wanted a party where he will be handing over and empowering a new team to take over. That is not done. We also thought that there will be changes that he will in our constitution of the party, in which he will preside over before handing a standing kind of constitution that everybody coming in will watch, so that we may limit the mandate of leadership of the party and limit other things, so that he should be the one to be at the forefront to do that.
Okay, those tributes being showered on the fallen hero, Nigel Fru Ndi, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front, and the ambience at his Tarikon residence today was not too good to watch, with so many mothers crying, sisters, family, friends crying, and we have some pictures there of the atmosphere that prevailed early this morning when the news broke. To say that when you listen to this, they saw him as a mentor, eh?
Yes.
He has mentored so many?
Of course. Fru Ndi has mentored not only SDF militants, but Cameroonians as a whole in the domain of politics. Fru Ndi was the person that gave us the impression and the confidence that you could be brave in this country against all odds to face what was on ground. One of the things I admired in him as a leader, even though I was not a militant of the SDF, was his bravery. As a young man, very, very young, at the age of probably very young, around the 90s, when John Fru Ndi came up, you could look at him as a young man at that tender stage and have confidence that there are people who can also chart a new course in the nation. We used to dance under the rain when we used to sing concerning the SDF. And we said, Aijo work of cancer suffer, poor years, falling. We were singing in those days as young people. We didn't even know what was politics, but we just joined because we said somebody has come to save the country. And then you constantly see his pictures, posters being pasted with his hand lifted like this, power to the people, power to the people. So we shouted power to the people without knowing what it meant. We did not know what it was all about, but we just joined because we knew a savior had come. With the kind of courage, every time he stands before those thousands of people to speak during his rallies in those days, we only sat in our homes and were told stories by our fathers how they tried to kill him, he disappeared, they entered into his house, he was 7 persons sitting the same. So we knew some powerful, mystical leader from the world beyond has come to redeem us from the shackles and the chains of darkness that prevailed within that period. And I'm telling you, it gave us the courage that you too can stand tomorrow. Some of us developed the urge, the desire in leadership because we saw somebody that was brave enough to face. So first and foremost, the first adjective I will caption Fru Ndi with is that he was a brave man. He was a brave man that came to Cameroon where multipartyism was not popular. He came within this nation when it was not even a time where somebody could face the regime that was in question. But Fru Ndi was bold enough to rally the 10 regions of this country, and even children who were still breastfeeding from the depth of their heart could sing songs of praise knowing that somebody had come. I'm not eulogizing Fru Ndi here because I'm a militant of the SDF. I'm not a militant of the SDF. But you see, as a keen political analyst who has observed things in this country, President John Fru Ndi, as popularly called chairman, has been a very serious role model and pathfinder to democracy in Cameroon. One of the things I've admired him is that most of the things he preached, he practiced, and he was about to practice the last before the cold hands of death snatched him. How do you explain that somebody is still alive? The chairman of a political party is not the flag bearer for the presidential election. I'm still to see a political candidate in this nation, Cameroon, with all the 360-something political parties we have, who will attempt. We even have a case recently of the MRC where a woman challenged the president in question because of the constitution, and very serious decisions were taken against her. Barrister Tamfu, who stood and supported the decision of Barrister Ndoki, was also sanctioned and suspended from all responsibilities. That is not democracy. I think they say charity begins at home. A man that cannot practice democracy within his political party will not respect it if he is given the opportunity to sit at the helm of power in this country. Another aspect that John Fru Ndi, this month of July, was supposed to be when he was supposed to drop equally as chairman. I mean, this is amazing. This is amazing. One, he dropped out from being the flag bearer while still alive. Number 2, he was stepping down as the chairman of the party. We have another party president who has attempted that, Dr. Barrister Ayapo, Chief Justice Ayapo, who has stepped down from being the presidential flag bearer of his party, the PAP, and also, but he still remains the chairman. I think those are the 2 examples. But you see, the impact of the SDF in Cameroon, a country, a party that has had senators, that has had parliamentarians, that has had councils, mayors controlling them, and a fair share of this nation, there was a lot of opportunities, juicy satisfaction in occupying the office of a chairman as well as the presidential candidate. That tells us that Fru Ndi never sat in office for aggrandizement. He never sat there because of what was offered him. He sat there because occasion gave him the opportunity to serve at that time. And when it was no longer time for him to serve again, he did not hold on to power. That gave us an impression that if the SDF came to power, there was a possibility for them to draft a constitution that if it does not favor them a particular year, they will gradually step out and change for authority to rotate to another hand.
Okay, if you're watching the program wherever you are, you can call the number on your screen so that we would also give you the opportunity to pay homage or say something about the fallen chairman of the Social Democratic Front. But now let's take a listen to Awudu Brandon, who is also paying tribute to Enigmatic Fru Ndi.
Enigmatic Fru Ndi is dead. To him, Enigmatic Fru Ndi lives.
History would remember Fru Ndi. He left a big legacy for posterity. He left his footprints on the sands of times. And I expect young political activists, young leaders who want to get interested in politics to follow Fru Ndi.
Barrister Awudu got the sad news from home while here in the United States of America.
Well, I came to know about the death of Mr. John Fru Ndi early this morning while at Oslo. I'm currently attending the Oslo Freedom Forum, which brings together activists and advocates all over the world who fight against violations of human rights, but also enhancing democracy. Fru Ndi was an icon in my eyes.
To the president of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, Chada, the former chairman of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, was a kind.
Some of the good things that Fru Ndi did, he was peace-loving, he loved his country, that was important, and he tried to build consensus across the bridge.
And on the ticket of the political party he created, Barrister Awudu says Enigmatic Fru Ndi knew his game.
An iconic leader of the Social Democratic Front who succeeded in putting the SDF on the map, who fought for the voiceless, the oppressed, and the marginalized. He would have his shortcomings like any other person who doesn't.
Cameroon might have lost someone often referred to as the father of democracy. But to his family, the seat of a brother, husband, father, and grandfather is now empty.
To his family, it's a very difficult times. To Ben and the others, it's a very difficult and challenging time. May the soul of Fru Ndi rest in perfect peace.
Enigmatic Fru Ndi died June 12, 2023 in Yaoundé at 11:30 p.m. per the obituary.
Okay, we thank you very much, Derek Jato, for that compilation on the reaction of the president of Barrister Awudu Brandon on the demise of Chairman Enigmatic Fru Ndi. We are now going to take some calls from our audience. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Matthew, calling from Mutuanga.
Yes, Matthew.
Well, I would like to pay tribute to the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front. He is an icon, a hero. He gives birth to multi-party politics in Cameroon. I was born 91, but growing up and read what he did and so on and so forth, it's something that everyone in this country is supposed to be. We're supposed to, like, that day that is being given the defeating burial, we should pay tribute. And any other politician should try to follow his footsteps. He's an icon for this country.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Okay, it describes him as an icon, but he also goes in line with what Barrister Bala said earlier on. Hello? 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 Yes, Matthew says he's an icon that other politicians should copy his examples. Hello? Oops. Oh, so many problems with the network this evening. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Okay.
Oops. Yes. Oh. Hello? We have lots of, I don't know whether it's network, so many calls, but difficult to connect. Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from, please. Hello?
Yeah, I'm Cousin from Bamenda.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say it's a very big loss to the nation, big loss to people from Bamenda. It's a great loss for us. I got up this morning, I received the news in my house. I was very shocked. I was shocked to hear. I think John Fru Ndi has been an icon to this country. He has been the greatest man of all time. In fact, I call him my good. He's a good because he has done what nobody can do. I was anxiously waiting for the moment he was to hand over power as a national chairman in this country, but unfortunately, the cool hand of death took him on unawares. I think he's a great man indeed. He's a great man. And so rest in peace.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Appostle Ambe Valintine Ngwa, Barrister Balat, who actually wants young Cameroonians to follow in his footsteps, and when you listen to what others are saying, they're saying the same. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Your name and where you are calling from?
Yeah, you're calling from Kumba.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, we have lost a very big icon in this country. John Fru Ndi was the real model of a politician. So, Mr. Leo, I don't know if this country will survive without the presence of John Fru Ndi. But we pray and hope that his successor and the politicians that are behind him should just copy his footsteps. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening to you too. Okay, I'll stop taking calls. I want you to react to what Barrister Bala said earlier on, that people should copy in his footsteps. Listen to what people are saying. That is the picture they have of John Fru Ndi.
Yes, Mr. Liu. I think Barrister Bala is 100%, if not 100+% correct. Because to be sincere, the first sign of a genuine politician is the value he places on human lives. And I think John Fru Ndi has demonstrated that aspect of a genuine patriot, a genuine politician, and somebody who loves his nation. The fact that he had the opportunity to cause blood to be spilled in this nation in quantums of liters, and he refused to do that. I remember what Goodluck Jonathan said. He said, my political interest is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. In other words, if somebody has to die for me to sit in office, I rather abdicate that seat for people's life to be preserved. That's exactly what Fru Ndi did without making that statement. He said in his action, my political ambition is not worth the blood of any Cameroonian.
I remember one day I went to interview him at his place in Tarikon, in Bamenda. He recounted a scene where there was a problem and so many young people ran into his house and asking him to bless them to go out for a riot. And he told them that, well, I'm ready to bless you if you can enter into my house and come out with my children so that they can accompany you. But if you go there and you will not come out with my children, I won't ask you people to go and get injured or killed.
Mr. Liu, look at the wisdom and the display of a politician. Rare to find within the 55 countries of Africa. Why? Because every politician will come and tell people to enter into the street. Why they put their children in big schools in Europe and America? The blood of other people's children is what their political interests and their political security than their own children. Look at somebody who patterns his life as a role model, because leadership, to me, is influencing people with your attitude. As a matter of fact, a leader is not a boss. You don't sit and give command. What we have in Africa is not leaders, it's bosses that will give command for other post children to go and die while their children stay in sophisticated houses. But Fundi will tell you that if my children, that means I have to pattern the way. That's leadership. I have to pattern, I have to make sure that I take the path, and then everyone follows. So if he says that my children has to join, it means I'm not just going there to sacrifice other post children for my interest. I'm ready to take the risk in order to lose my own children because I'm fighting for freedom. That is a leader. And we saw it demonstrated. As a matter of fact, Chairman Fru Ndi was pushed to the wall in this country to react in several ways. But there was no possibility for him to react because humanity in him. To me, no matter how popular you may be, if you don't have humanity at heart, you are not a leader. Because the first characteristic of a genuine leader is the interest of the people, not his own interest. So any leader who does not have interest of the people, you can sacrifice people's lives and destiny and property and find your way to power.
Hello?
You can sacrifice people's lives.
Hello, can you move away from your screen, please? Can you move away from your set? Okay, please, if you are calling us, just move away from your TV set and then you discuss and then you move back to to watch TV. Hello?
Hello.
Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
This is Dr. Manji from Leeds.
Your contribution, please. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Liu. Pani was an icon, and the belief that the Northwesterner and the Southwesterner should copy is exactly a hero that we should imitate. Because no matter the circumstances that we are found on the ground today, it is not what existed before. And when something is actually good, we should appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Liu, and congratulations for the effort and the speech that you have been making, and you have been on the media.
Thank you. We are grateful for the compliment. Okay, Apostle. Yes, I want us to take a look at this meeting between Fru Ndi and Paul Biya that was in Bamenda, and then we talk about it later on.
Mr. Chairman, morning. How are you? I am happy to meet you today.
Okay, introducing members of the shadow cabinet, I'm sure, of the Social Democratic Front at the time. That was when the President of the Republic went for the 50th anniversary of the Armed Forces reunification of the Armed Forces in Cameroon. That was to take place in Bamenda. Amongst those he received also included Fru Ndi, to say after that meeting, so many persons labeled Fru Ndi as a sellout, as somebody who is dining with the government. He received so many criticisms, but also on the side, some persons felt that was a lesson of democracy to the world.
Yes, Mr. Leo. I don't think political rivalry is political enmity. Politics is not creating enemies, it is creating rivals. That's the reason why in Cameroon, we don't have politics in Cameroon, except for the few things that Fru Ndi did when he was still alive. Most of the people have created political enemies, not political rivals. I think rivalry is when you are working hard to overtake somebody. Enmity is when you are struggling to eliminate somebody. We should not eliminate each other because our views are not the same, or we have divergent, conflicting ideas. I think the SDF has a philosophy, the CPDM has a philosophy. Those are two political rivals. They remain Cameroonian, they remain citizens of this country. They remain brothers. They are not enemies. Somebody has a philosophy he's trying to present whom he thinks is far more better than the other. It doesn't create the other person an enemy. It doesn't make the person an enemy. So I think that act there was a demonstration of true democracy. As a matter of fact, we have divergent ideas, yet we are still brothers. We have divergent ideas, yet we are still citizens of the same country. We may not agree with the same philosophy, but it doesn't make us enemies. That is it.
Okay. We'll take maybe 2 calls and we continue with the program. But also the national chairman of Social Democratic Front, Fru Ndi, has had also very difficult times from the secessionists themselves. He was kidnapped and has been attacked. His junior brother was kidnapped and taken to Bafut, though he was later released. His house burnt. Did he actually merit all of this?
No, he did not. That's what we are saying. There's a difference between democracy and dictatorship. The problem we have is that democracy is when you, by your ideas, convince me to see things from your angle. Dictatorship is when you use the barrel of the gun to force me to buy your idea. I think democracy is more of dialogue. The man that has a convincing power by diplomatic means, electoral means, or through communication to cause people see things from his angle and follow him. It's a Democrat. Democracy is not when you carry a gun and put me at the gunpoint and ask me to succumb to your philosophy or buy your idea.
Yes, hello?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Dio.
Your name and where you are calling from and your contribution, your tribute.
Yeah, Mr. Ajong from Boya.
Right on, Mr. Ajong.
Yeah, in fact, we are very, 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 very sorry for the loss of that particular icon. Mr. John Fru Ndi was a very great man in the annals of Cameroon history. We really regret his death. But what we want to comment is that many Cameroonians should not... Hello?
Yes, go on.
He has really worked very well in this country. But in the end, what we should not copy from him is dying in power. Apart from that, there is nothing wrong with him. He would have long handed over before dying. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Yes, we were talking about his meeting with President Paul Biya, and while others were lambasting that action, many saw it as a lesson of democracy to the world.
Of course, that was democracy, Mr. Lou. Like I said, there's a difference between rivalry and enmity. They were rivals, they were not enemies. And that's the reason why politics is rivalry, is not enmity. The problem we have in Africa is that people look at political opponents as enemies. They are only rivals. Rivalry means I'm trying to bring an idea that you do not have. I'm trying to superimpose that idea, which is not your idea. If my idea is clear and properly presented, people buy it and come to my side. That is a fact that I have rivaled you in that area and I've conquered you. And democracy, practically speaking, is not using the barrel of the gun to cause men to believe your philosophy. Like what we see today, that if you do not accept to be this scam, they use the gun to crack you down, that you must accept it. No, I should be convinced by your philosophy and your ideas to accept your modus operandi. You cannot catch me by force, by the barrel of the gun, and compel me to succumb to your oppressions. That is the reason why there is a trouble in our society today, because people are trying to use the gun to cause men to accept ideas. Ideas are presented properly, expatiated for individuals to buy them. So you don't use the gun to convince me to accept your idea.
Yes, but the fact that he stood his ground, he was told severally to call his MPs and senators out of Parliament and Senate. He stood his ground and said, I would not budge. And I remember during the last convention that held in Bamenda, I was present. He was also asked not to do that, to take it to maybe Bafusam, and he said over my dead body he was going to hold in Bamenda. It actually took place in Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital. To say that he was a man who stood by what he believed in?
Because Fru Ndi has never preached secession. Fru Ndi has preached federalism. And federalism is not separating the nation into two. So he held on to his point as a socialist, as a Democrat, and as a federalist. And that is what he kept through from day one to the last day. Not the politicians who are being tossed by the wind, that when they see things getting brighter this way, they change their philosophy. Fru Ndi has maintained a particular philosophy for many years, and that's what the SDFC stands till today. They are maintaining federalism, and that is federalism that has been preaching for many years. It has never changed. That's the reason when he was arrested and kept into captivity, he preached federalism and not secession.
Hello?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. I want to participate in the program.
Yes, go on. Your name, where you are calling from, and your tribute.
Okay, I'm Mama Evelyn Su from Boya. Like Kadina Tumi and like Joseph like Bandam, we have lost another fine soul. I just remembered, Pa, when you came to the wedding of one of those who destroyed the lake. And his speech on that wedding was that when your children will go up, they will sit on that particular leg and say, Papa, how is this so strong like that? And you reply them, no, it is strong like that so that you can sit comfortable on my leg. Don't bother that your leg now, they have attached a stick on it that it is strong. And that is what he told that his son whom grenade destroyed. So we have lost power. And we will forever be in our mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. Right, calling there from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. We've just been joined by okay, I'll take one last before. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, your name and where you are calling from, and your tribute, please.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Liu. Yeah, this is Taman Jonathan. I'm calling from Bamenda. Yeah, you know, today is really a dark day in Bamenda. A dark day because Bamenda has lost one of the icons that we look as a role model in politics up here. When I think about John Fru Ndi, or Chairman John Fru Ndi, I think about the early 90s, how he used to coordinate other opposition leaders in rallies in Bamenda here. And with the fall of John Fru Ndi, I really think the future of opposition party in Cameroon is dark and dark and dark. Chairman John Fru Ndi, you live your time and you did your best. You may have your weakness as any other human being, but adieu, Papa John Fru Ndi.
Thank you very much. We have just been joined by Kejang Henry, who is one of the communication secretaries of the Social Democratic Front, who is with us here. We are glad to have you on Prime on this special edition where we are rendering a tribute to a fallen Baobab in Cameroon's politics. In the person of John Fru Ndi, the national chairman of your party, we also are using this a platform to present our condolences to the STF family that you represent out here this evening. And we'll start by asking the feeling, the move that you guys are witnessing within the party across all 10 regions of Cameroon.
Well, thank you very much, Kum, and of course good evening to Apostle Ambe. It's a very cloudy, gloomy environment in Cameroon since we got the news of the demise of His Excellency John Fru Ndi, and the outpouring, the torrent of tributes across the world, not only across Cameroon, is a true testimony of the man he was and for the values that he stood for. I'm talking about the democratic principles. So Cameroon, in fact, sun has set in Cameroon and on the political scene. When I got in, I heard Ambe talking about the issue of political rapprochement, to tell you that, well, politics is not a game of war, but then a game of understanding, so to speak. And you know, it has always existed in all the democracies across the globe. When we talk about political rapprochement, where we are not enemies, but we have divergent views on how we have to run a nation. And that is what the chairman was, because he was actually bitter and flare up very fast when you don't agree with him on certain aspects, whereas he knows that those aspects he is correct and he's in the right direction. So, well, we have lost a political maverick, a prolific politician, and I must add, a political dinosaur in the country.
Yes, many persons are really not too sure about how this party started in the 90s and would want to say Fru Ndi was not the beginning, Fru Ndi was not the founding father, ascribing this to other persons. Can we know how this journey started with the SDF and John Fru Ndi?
Well, if you have read the book, The Untold Story of the creation or the launch of the SDF in the on the 26th of May 1990, this is a voluminous book. I would like our televiewers to probably go through. And this particular edition of the book, The Struggle for Democracy and Good Governance, The Untold Story, was written when the Social Democratic Front was celebrating its 25th anniversary, that is the Silver Jubilee. And it took a lot of resources, human resources, material resources, logistics, name it. And of course, with the directives of the national chairman to come up with this book. So, but then if you get into the, you read between the lines, following the launch of the Social Democratic Front, you will understand that it took a lot of underground work. We might not be able to dissect everything that happened. But then, if you go to page 10 of that book, you will get testimonies of who signed the party papers, who signed the party papers, those who were involved in the signing. And it's a little bit tricky, because when all was done, all the groundwork was done, it was time to sign the party document, to deposit it at the DO's office. Now, Fru Ndi and the others sat in his house. It is a testimony that's been written by those who were there at the beginning. I'm not inventing anything. And those who have equally read this book, amongst them who wrote, of course, our blessed professional father, Francis Wache, were those amongst those who wrote. Buddy Adams, they are still there, and many others. I may not recollect the names. And here, let me just quote this. Here, Fru Ndi, the signing proper was done in my Intaricon residence. Because sometimes when we speak, or when people speak, even in bars, they will tell you Fru Ndi was not. He did not write this book. The people who wrote the book are there. The signing proper was done in my Intaricon residence. The people, he said, all of them were present. All of them were present. We started with Justice Wakai to sign. Get it clear. We started with Justice Wakai to sign. That is Fru Ndi talking. He said, well, I've been chairing these meetings, but you know, I will soon come home on retirement from the Supreme Court. That's Justice Nwakai speaking. And if they see my name on this thing, they might block my retirement benefits. After a stellar legal career, Justice Wakai anticipated a well-merited retirement, so he did not sign. He did not sign. Alfred Azefo was asked to sign. The documents were there. He replied, "Here, Alfred Azefo, you know, I am the Deputy Director of Scientific Research. I cannot sign because I am working with state outfit, and consequently, the government will take punitive reprisals against me." That is Alfred Azefo talking. They turned to Alicia's table to sign. Alicia's table said, "I am a businessman. My wife is not here and I am alone with my children. Furthermore, if I sign, my bills will not be paid. I will suffer." What about you, Dr. Carlson Anyangwe? I am a lecturer in the university. As you are aware, it is a state university. It would be dangerous for me to sign. And I will just go to the last person. How about you, Gomo Akuchu? I am working with an American non-governmental organization. If I sign and all of us go in, because it was a matter of do or die, who will defend us from outside? Let me remain, so that if there is any armies, I will be working from the background, so that they could see how to free them, if at all they were arrested at that time. Azefo said he was a researcher in Bambili, working with a state outfit, and consequently could not sign. He argued the government would take punitive reprisals against me. So I am just giving these, and because the person who was absent at the time was Abe Mukong. It is a fact. And Abe Mukong was in prison after the Yondo Black issue. So, and Fru Ndi said, honestly, if Mukong were there, he would have signed. But Mukong's problem was to take the leadership. And so that is how the national chairman took the leadership, the courage. He mustered the courage, and then they went and deposited the document. So what happened? Listen. When everybody turned out the invitation to sign the document, it was then now Dr. Siga Saga. He looked at him and he said, "Okay, Ni, you sign as the chairman. I sign as the Secretary General. They carry the cross of Cameroonians." And that is how they signed and went and deposited the document, and the Social Democratic Front was launched. So when we talk about founding fathers, some people don't even know the history of the founding fathers. And because we live in a country where people don't read anymore, you understand, Appostle? People don't read anymore, which means that it is a long journey. Fru Ndi took all the risk. And if he explains, because when it happened, after he had launched, after he has punched his fist, SDF took off. Cameroonians embraced. It spread like bushfire in the Hamatan. And that is how the SDF came into existence. And people started marching on the streets. And 6 died. Of the 6 who died, 4 were students. 1 was a tailor, and 1 was a mill operator, that is to say, corn mill operator. And that is how trouble started, and till today, the national chairman has remained the only man who dare a devil, Because at that time, the political articulation could not permit anybody to venture on such a terrain. It would have been considered very high treason against a state.
Yes, but tell me how your party saw the treatment that was reserved for him within this Anglophone crisis by Anglophones.
Well, I read the postings of one of our prolific writers, Jimmy George.
Okay.
George wrote a very short one, about 9 sentences or a paragraph or so. And to me, all the postings on social media platforms, yes, paying tribute to Ni John Fru Ndi, but what Jimmy wrote was extremely painful to me. A very short text in, in the memory of Fru Ndi. He said people should pay tribute to Fru Ndi as he's living, because many people castigated him. But sometimes, Apostle, when you sit and then reflect on the trajectory of the man Fru Ndi, I believe we will not be able to write much of what he did in the next 50 years. And people like Fru Ndi, they will come no more in Cameroon, knowing how Cameroon is moving and the way people are playing politics today. It might extremely be difficult for someone like Fru Ndi to come again in this country. So I believe that the treatment that Cameroonians reserved for for him, I mean some Cameroonians, is not the best. All of us have errors of our past. Nobody is perfect in this world. But then we could count the blessings of his risk, the risk he took to salvage Cameroonians from the pangs of dictatorship at the time. Because if you look at the brutality with which the repression that followed the launch of the Social Democratic Front, you could already understand what it means. Dare a nation like Cameroon, which, according to the slogan, was an island of peace. I've been hearing you talk too many times. We've been meeting, and then we laugh, we joke. Is this the island of peace we've been talking about? Now, a lot of people misunderstand him because he has always stood his ground to the right direction to salvage Cameroonians. Not only salvaging people from the northwest or southwest region. People enjoyed protection when they are around Fru Ndi. Some other political leaders are being prohibited. They are being muzzled. They will come and ask for the chairman's protection and for his advice. Of course, that was wisdom, either on their part or on the part of the national chairman. So today, I think we should only pay tribute to him for what he's done and the respect he commanded. Yes, some people say sell out. In politics, how do you sell out? Once a nation is the life of a nation is at stake, I think it is incumbent on all to come on board and ask questions. What do we do? How do we go about it? There we are now talking about political rapprochement, where we converge our ideas for a goal, for a betterment of the country.
Okay. I narrated my experience, the way I used to go and interview Ni John Fru Ndi during the special edition we did in the morning. I would stay either in Douala or in Boya, and I call him, and he tells me that, Mr. Journalist, I'm waiting for you tomorrow morning.
He was always available.
You understand?
Always available to answer
politicians
questions.
Today, to get to them, you will not even dare get around them. You get to their private secretary, you get to the communication man, you get to, and then a whole lot of bureaucracy. And after 6 months, you still will not get them. The Fru Ndi, you call him personally, he tells you, I'm waiting for you Thursday, Friday. And Kawal, I read her tribute to Fru Ndi. She says that what I learned from you is that you taught me grassroots politicking. When you look across the political scene today, do you see grassroots politicking or elitist politicians?
Occupying a seat of authority does not make you a leader.
Okay.
There are so many persons who are at the helm, but they are not going ahead. I think we should stop having heads of parties, head of state. We start having a head. We should put A behind the head, because a leader is somebody who is making a move. When somebody occupies a place of responsibility, it doesn't mean he's a leader. First of all, leadership is, like I always say, the capacity to translate vision into reality. And you cannot translate vision into reality until people have access to you. Vision is executed by people. If politicians don't give access to people, how can they select the right persons to work with? It is absolutely impossible to do effective leadership if you are not accessible, because the people that constitute to make your leadership effective are the people you give access to your life. If John Fru Ndi is celebrated today, I wrote something in the morning when he died. I said the hypocrisy in this nation stinks like the toilet. Even those who insulted him when he was alive, abused his leadership, made a mockery of his stance against the ruling party, are now throwing eulogies, appreciating him, calling him icon, celebrating him because he's dead. Why is it that we always celebrate our heroes when they cannot breathe anymore? Why is it that we always celebrate our champions when they are no longer in the ring fighting? Why don't we give them the push when they still have the energy to fight? We only want to throw flowers when they are lying straight in their coffins. That is where the challenge we have in this country lies. So I think if we are going to talk about the things that John Fru Ndi has done so far, everybody today will speak so well about John Fru Ndi. But I tell you, when Fru Ndi was alive, I belonged to a political platform. That persons there saw nothing good in him, insulting him first of all as a compromise, somebody who has this is the slogan they used to use. He is an SDF publicly and a CPDM privately. That he has collected his own share of the national cake and he has betrayed the rest of those who are following him. Look at the kind of insults they gave to somebody who denied to share human blood in 1990. We have seen that in South Sudan, where Riek Machar and Salva Kiir fought for years, killed innocent Sudanese. Fru Ndi had the opportunity to do that in Cameroon. He refused. We saw the case of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe and Strive Vangirai, which shed human blood. Fru Ndi refused to do that in Cameroon. We also see the case of many other African countries. Now, as we are talking, there is a serious fight in Sudan. Two generals are fighting for supremacy, but the people are dying. But that was an opportunity that was given to Fru Ndi also to cause human blood to be shed, but he refused. Now, if we look and trace Fru Ndi's political career in Cameroon, like I said, I will always say it. I said it when he was alive, and I'm still saying that he's dead. Fru Ndi is the most democratic politician I have seen in my entire life. I'm not a politician. I don't belong to any political party. Any person who stands to speak tomorrow, I will address the person accordingly. John Fru Ndi is a Democrat. Listen, under normal circumstances, with the frustration that he got from the ruling party, the break up this Amazonian crisis that came up was supposed to have been a better ground for him to vent his anger to what the government did to him many years ago. But to the greatest of my dismay, I was very, very shocked, Mr. Liu, that when that man was arrested, right in the camp of where he was arrested, he stood his ground as a socialist, he stood his ground as a federalist, he stood his ground as a Democrat. I mean, before those who kidnapped him, he was bold enough to tell them that I am not going to change my stance. If I'm going to die, let me die defending federalism. That's a leader. That's a leader. In other words, I did not. That's why I was saying that those who took the Anglophone crisis as a means to serve their political interests are even the worst enemies than those who picked gun during the crisis. But you see, Fru Ndi did not make use of this crisis to serve his political philosophy, because it was a platform for him to use and become very popular in the Anglophone region. But he denied it.
Okay, Kejan, Henry, some people are asking what Fru Ndi was before becoming chairman of the Social Democratic Front. Some people see him as a Cartier guy, a guy who never went to school. What is his background?
Well, I keep saying people don't read. It's as simple as anything. He went to school like any other child of his generation. went to primary school, went to college, did his went to school again in Nigeria, and even to the UK, did his diplomas, and then started his business. He started his business, he did his farming, and that is how he rose to prominence. I don't know if maybe you knew the name, but your parents, I don't know if they bought you any book from a Bible bookshop.
I know that. I know where a Bible
you probably know it, but they did not buy you books from there.
Yeah, but I saw a Bible bookshop in Bamenda,
right,
along the Commercial Avenue.
Because some of us, when they could not find books in Victoria, they would tell you, we have those books in a Bible bookshop. So my parents would send money and they would bring those books down. And like any other person who grew up and in business and in politics and in sports, many people forget that he was one-time president of the PWD Bamenda. And you know, he's a very humorous guy. He cracks a lot of jokes. If you have never known him, if you've never rubbed shoulders with him, you will think, because yes, he's tenacious. He has iron fist, but then very caring. So in business, in farming, agriculture, and in politics, that was the man. So, sometimes when you rise to prominence, they will say, what to be background, even go school. So it sounds funny, but then he was a prolific guy, and he commanded a lot of respect amongst his peers.
Okay, we'll take 2 or 3 calls and then we continue with the program. Kejang, if you permit. Hello, good evening. Can you move away from your set, please?
Hello, Mr. Leo.
Yes, good evening. Your name and where you are calling from. Your tribute, please.
I will best explain myself in pidgin, please.
Go on.
Abba for Muku village, picking for panic closed down, picking for panic closed door. So I want just participate for this program. I say I want to start for salute Una, salute Appostle Ambe for students, salute every man for student day, and I want to say Bamenda in whole Cameroon there for cry. And I'm not sure say we'll get this kind of hero where we don't miss him for this country again. I don't really know whether the other people they can or they fit get this spy hates where he get them. His feelings the way he get them for people, and he weighs them for work. Maybe Palava school or anything, but he prove I'm saying no, he do we and we don't really know. But men that he hold it for cry. I did now for Mukru village, and everywhere just they come like some big thing don't fall for village. So everywhere, any man cry, Mr. Leo. So I just say my call, greet everyone for studio day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The feeling is same even in this studio. Places colder than natural. Even to speak, the pump is not there. We hope that Cameroonians are going to. But what is important after the passing of a person in the standing of Nijon Fru Ndi? Is it not a lesson that we should take from him and challenge him and even do him proud as he's moved on to note that the legacy is living on. He has been a man who stood for peace. He has been a man who stood for, as a family, a man. But this very down-to-earth politician, you would find him with the guys at the park. You find power with the women. He could easily relate with the Bayam Selams, just with anybody.
Mr. Leo, a true leader is first and foremost a servant.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said, he that wants to be greatest amongst you should be your servant. And I think Nijon Fru Ndi is a description of a servant leader. The man who can interact with the top notch in the society, the man who can interact with the middle class and also with the least of the society. That's a leader. A leader is somebody who can touch the 3 classes of human beings. He can touch the plebeians, he can touch the nobles, he can touch the middle class. And I think it is one of the qualities of an effective leader And we saw that in John Fru Ndi. You will see him sit with head of states. You will see him sit with ordinary people. Jesus interacted with head of state. On the other hand, you see with prostitutes. That is a leader. The capacity to interact, interrelate, and match up with almost everybody in the society, because a leader of that magnitude should be able to understand the feelings and the infirmity of every human being. But you see, the leadership of today, we have persons who are on high horses, who will never step down for any reason, from their ideas to their physical presentation. Nobody will have access to them. It becomes very difficult. And if you look at the simplicity of John Fru Ndi, there is nobody who ever wanted to see him and never had access. From journalists, from those who were hungry, from those who were about to revolt, from the top notch, the high class, and even government officials who were in the opposition party against him still had the opportunity, and he gave them audience, because he never saw an opposition leader as an enemy. He saw them as people who are trying to forcefully push their ideas forward. And I think that is the true demonstration of politics and democracy. If at all we come to a position where we can.
Hello? Yeah, good evening. Your name and where you are calling from and your tribute.
Good evening, sir. My name is Nanji Samuel. I call for dollar.
Okay. Yes.
Which one contribute na say this one power it don't die go so many of we get for learn we dey like politicians there for Cameroon we get for learn how the way for keep people, the way for stay with people, because this power it is so it don't die go. He don't do his own work with many of we should not today we appreciate which way power don't do. Many people then do they learn. If you do it way it is bad, you change. You start to the one way it is good, because after anything you get for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
God bless you, sir.
God bless you too. Yeah, Kejang, I want also to get to the books. I'm sure there are things that are recorded. Some persons would really not understand. Some of the stories are told about the fierce challenges he met, like what happened in Bafusam to him, and some of those things that he faced as the leader at the peak of his career, political career. They are recorded there. It would be nice for our televiewers to read them and not hear from the quarters.
Yeah, you are correct. You know, at every point in time, he was tapped. It's just that we did not have that terrorism law at the time. They would have considered Fru Ndi as a terrorist, and then they would judge him and kill him or imprison him. But then, since Cameroonians were yearning for freedom, it came naturally when they needed a Moses. Because if you read the prologue of this book, they compare Fru Ndi to Moses. When Moses carried the Israelites away from Egypt, he's compared to Moses. His openness with the, I would say, West Africa at the time, where he even worked as a traffic controller, Nigerian Airways, worked with other factories and more than 3, 4, 5 big companies in Nigeria, and managing as a boss before coming back home. He had gained a lot of openness to the world and how things could be done from the Anglo-Saxon standpoint. So even the famous case of Dibule that you know, that he did this, he transported somebody who was fugitive and so on and so forth. At every point in time they want to back him, to trap him. It could not work because he was not that type of a person who could do such a thing, because the evidence were very clear. He did not do them, or he did not in any way involve himself in those things. So that is how, when at the point in time the government discovered the world, or the regime, we could work with him. After all, we've already talked about political approach, which means that it is not going to be a war where we will kill people. So when even during the major national dialogue, he took his stand and said, I still, till his deathbed, he still stands for federalism because it is a party's position, and he cannot go against it. It just stands for federalism, and it stands till world without end. So whatever they gave him, he accepted. Even at the moment where he's dying, he wanted to reconcile with the dissidents, what you call the G27 clause. He has always asked for them. He's extended a hand. People will not, because they are not there to see what they are not amongst. But I will advise you, Leo, go and meet Honorable Chita for he's there. He's there. He's not dead. He's living and very acrobatic. He was the one mediating for the dissidents. Come and talk with her and for them to talk about what is the problem, arrange anything that is happening in the house. It happened that, well, the dissidents said they were not going to go to Pass House. Quote me anyway. They said they will not go. Pass said, okay, go and look for a neutral ground. I don't think if your father, let me just put it this way, you stay in a village and the chief has a problem with his notables, and then they say, okay, come to the palace, let us talk our things. And then the notables say, no, we can't come to the palace, let us look for a neutral ground. It doesn't make sense. Okay, but he accepted, look then for the neutral ground, let us talk. These things, what I'm saying is not something that is said behind the doors. It is said in public. And he said this during a NEC meeting. Now that you have said, okay, we should meet at a neutral ground, but I cannot be discussing with you that you have a knife over my neck. This is what he said. In the open, go and withdraw that court case. That was a knife on his neck. Because you cannot say you are discussing with somebody and then you have a knife on your neck. If you have read the story of Captain Valentine Stresser of Sierra Leone, when he took power, I think it was the age of 24, 25, among with his friends and so on. But they had a problem, a serious problem. By the time they had to solve their problem, and they said, no, but everybody should put the guns outside. Let us talk. But that is what the national chairman wanted. And even as he's dying, he had always sued for reconciliation with those who went in conflict with the party law. I think if we have to start talking about that, we would probably not end it maybe in the next 1 month.
Yes, but the party was planning for a convention.
It is still planning for yes.
Yes.
The planning is still going on. He had wished, because Kum during NEC meetings, he would tell you, please arrange things. Because some people, I'm sorry to say this, some journalists will call me, the chairman say he will resign, he has resigned, or some even say he has resigned. I said, but are we talking sense? The chairman announced that I will not run again, I want to retire. I am retiring from politics. I will go and sit me quietly in my place or in my corner. I will leave you with it. Arrange yourselves, make sure you put things in order so that I can retire and know that the younger generation is taking over and I will be able to rest in peace. He's always said that in public. He's not hiding anything. It should surprise too many people. But what type of a politician he is? He will sit in the meeting and say, I am not well, I am sick. He would say, I have a terminal disease. Have you ever heard any politician in this country say that? No. Even at 150 years. They will tell you they are very much acrobatic and even threaten to fight with young people. But he tells you, he says, look at me, I'm sweating. He's presiding at the NEC meeting. Look at me, I'm sweating because the drugs that I'm taking makes me to sweat profusely. Please walk, let us build the party, and I will retire. So I think if we have, like I said, you hardly have a politician like him.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from and your tribute.
This is Abraham from Tico.
Go on.
Yes, this is Abraham from Tico.
Abraham, go on.
Yes, I really want to appreciate the program on board, the panelists on board. One, I think the two panelists, one knows the background for John Fru Ndi, the chairman of SDF, and the other person knows him by actions in the public. So I just want to thank them for knowing that leader, a Cameroonian, in that capacity. But I will also use this opportunity to say, those detractors who were asking questions, who is John Fru Ndi? An educated person is never known. He is being known in the public, his actions, his words, and the way he acts. John Fru Ndi has been a peace crusader in Cameroon. Yes, and from the analysis that have been presented, his ordeal that he went through, the ordeal he went through, there are some of the evidence that we can know that was a true patriot in the Republic of Cameroon. By not accepting to take arms when he was being kidnapped, forced into that direction. By not taking arms in the 1990s when he was being threatened. He's a true patriot. That is the beginning of democracy in this country. It is a lesson for Cameroonians, and that is going to get into the annals of Cameroonian history. It is a lesson for any other Cameroonians below the age of 60 to start knowing what can be done for sustainability in this country. I think John Fru Ndi is a Cameroonian, not for SDF, not for UPC, not for CPDM, but for the entire Republic. So I appreciate the analysis by the two panelists on board. One knowing him from his actions when the political party carrier from onset, and the other person knowing him in the public. Please, it is time for us to give him all the prayers for him to have a peaceful stay wherever at the bottom of the heavens. I appreciate Mr. Leanard. The programs you put on daily basis is something I hope Cameroonians from the four cardinal points of the Republic, including the subsidiaries, should be having lessons from it. This program is very, very teaching. Be it on today's agenda of John Fru Ndi and any other ones that you are putting across the board is something for Cameroonians to learn a lesson. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. We're glad to have gotten this from you. We are certainly going to take one other a call from those who are watching. Okay. Oops, this one is gone. Now, some persons, this one is, I hope this one stays. Hello, good evening. Your name and where you're calling from. Your tribute, please.
I'm calling from Bamenda. Hello?
Yes, go on, please.
Yeah, this is Fonda Remy calling from Bamenda. It's a great loss to think that John Fru Ndi is no more. And I'll just try to be brief because this is somebody I had the first contact with him around 1992 when he visited Awudu border during the peak of his political mounting to power. I think that visit made it possible for everybody to see clearly that he touched all the four corners of this country, and he has visited, if not 99% of all the subdivisions and villages in this country. That makes him very remarkable in this country. And no matter how we use speed to think about John Fru Ndi, I think history should have it that he can never be forgotten. Thank you very much.
Thank you to now he is raising a point. John Fru Ndi is said to have toured this nation 22 times, and that he knows every single village of this country. Kejan?
Yes, that is correct. And it's not like pride himself with it, but it's a fact. It's a fact, and that is what we expect of political leaders, like Apostle Ambe was saying. You meet the people, you're on the ground, you are the grassroots, you talk with them, you feel their pains, you sometimes share their meals. He shares their meals because the people want to feel you. The people want to know that they have a leader and they want to be protected by that leader. It's not like creating a fence between you and the people. So he had told the country more than because we are talking here about touring the country as the leader of the Social Democratic Front. But don't forget that he's been touring the country as a businessman. He's been touring the country as a businessman. So that is why he has a mastery of the country. If he calls villages here, you will never believe that he knows this place or he has ever reached in those areas. I think we commend him for that, because once he tours, he knows the problems of the people to be able to carry to the table. It should not be a problem of those who are in the cities. The problem is not those in the cities. I was sharing an experience on one of our media outfit, I think was it yesterday or so. I said we should not even bother about Yaoundé, Douala, Bafoussam, Bamenda, Garwa not having schools, because it's unbelievable to hear that. We live in this dispensation where you have children studying under trees, sitting on blocks, on planks. But he has seen all those things, and when he shouts and cries, they think he is just shouting for nothing. But those are the facts. And he feels the pain, one, as a socialist. He feels the pain as a father, because his own children will not be going to good schools and under very good conditions, and others are in that same condition. Can you imagine that? 2023, we should be talking about children going to school and learning under trees. I mean, go to the far north region, you'll find that there.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
Hello?
Yeah, please, when you call, we have so many persons calling. Once you call, just go straight to giving us your tribute. I would not advise you call using WhatsApp. WhatsApp calls are always disrupted. Stop calling using WhatsApp, please. Hello?
Hello?
Good evening. Your name and where you are calling from and your tribute.
Yes, I am Monono Hans Manga calling from the foot of Mount Fako.
That's my brother.
Yes, I'm very happy to talk to you people this evening, and I want to appreciate the insight they are giving to this great man. Fru Ndi, I want to say we have lost a hero. Many people say he did not hand power, but I want to take it this way. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So I think Fru Ndi, by saying that he will hand power, he will hand over power, he actually handed over power. Because you cannot give power. I don't think that he could have given that power when there was no net. So in his heart, he had already given it. So he's considered as a father of democracy in Cameroon. A true patriot, a peace crusader. I also want to say that Fru Ndi is one of those chairman, is one of those people who denied us the opportunity to see the third president in Cameroon. Because in 1992, we all witnessed it. The SDF won. SDF actually won the presidential election.
We are Cameroonians, and the man actually denied to take up arms. So we want to say that, unlike other African countries that have engaged in wars and turbulence, Burundi is a peace crusader. May his soul rest in peace. We have much to talk about him, but we just continue to pray that may God accept his soul. Just like I saw a caption somewhere, power is no longer with the people, power is with the Almighty God now. May God bless his soul. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Hans, coming in there from Boya Town. Glad to hear from you. No, Apostle Ambe, Valintine, Ngwa, we are talking. Please stop calling using WhatsApp. Emmanuel, can you move away from your set?
Hello?
Yes, Emmanuel, good evening. You are calling from Tole.
Yes, evening to all the panelists, particularly to my president, Mr. Ambe, and to the energetic secretary of the party. Since morning, we have been mourning the chairman, and I just use this opportunity to extend my condolence to all the SDF family and to the energetic fan club here in Tole. I say that the demise of Frundi is not the end of the party. I know maybe by the grace of God, another person will rise to the limelight that will take the party to higher heights. Just to greet all the SDF family, particularly the family of Frundi, that they should take heart. It is the decision of the Almighty God. Good evening.
Thank you, Emmanuel Ebwe, coming in there from Tole. This crew is from Babatu in Santa subdivision, some division of the Northwest region. But did you see Frundi as someone who only was about issues of the people of the Northwest, or someone who was very active in fighting Boko Haram, who was concerned about the issues that touch the population of the East region, or those from the South, and why not the people of the Littoral?
From the image he commanded, you know how many people he touched. If there is a politician that has touched every nooks and cranny of this country, it's President Chairman Fru Ndi. You know, some politicians won the trial in a particular election and they say they won elections. But Fru Ndi is the first person we have seen that when we used to have painted National Day in those days, we used to have SDF march in all the 10 regions of the country. There are political parties, you cannot identify them in more than 2-3 regions. So they come to our presidential elections. We are talking about a situation where if you are seeing National Day highlights from different regions of the country, you see SDF active involved in almost all the regions of the country. If there is any political party whose presence has been felt in all the regions of the country and almost the 360 subdivisions of this country, it's the SDF political party. If you look at the bureau of SDF, you discover it is not a Santa stop in Northwest. As a matter of fact, the vice chairman as we talk right now is a man from the south of Moroccoland. We have other personalities also.
The Secretary General is from the West region? The Secretary General of the party?
Yes. She is from the littoral.
Okay.
Yes, she is from the littoral. She delegates in the littoral.
Okay.
And in Douala 1, that is the Douala 1 Littoral District. And she is the first lady from the littoral to be appointed as the Secretary General of the party. You know, Professor Elizabeth Tamanjong has been there, who managed the party for 9 years as the Secretary General, amongst others. Professor Songanyi Dobegang, name them Siga Saga, Professor Gbasire, etc. So I think that is another astute lady who is handling the affairs of the party at the Secretariat of the party.
Okay. Yes, but we're talking about
his presence,
yes,
the impact in all the 10 regions of the country. Like I said, it was not a Santa party, neither was it a Northwest party. If you look at the different parliamentarians, we had Honorable Ninche from the West region. We have Navangia, who is the vice president from Oroko. We have, like the Secretary General, he said, is coming from the Littoral. And if you look at it critically, the SDF is that diverse in such a way that you cannot come there and hear people speaking their dialect.
No, very far from that. If
you see a political party when people speak their dialect, has become a sort of a village. It's a village stuff. It's not a political party. It's either a clan or a family stuff. And there are political parties you enter into in some central bureau and committees, you hear people speaking by their dialect. That's no longer politics. But if you enter the SDF, it will be difficult for you to find people speaking in their dialect within a particular bureau or the executive bureau. You will hear people coming from different backgrounds, different views, different thought pattern. It's because they are rallying the entire nation to give every region its place in the society. First and foremost, the philosophy of the SDF being a federal system, it means we are giving autonomy to almost every region to develop itself. By so doing, it will kill down tribalism, it kills nepotism, it kills the fight for supremacy, it fights against the inadequate distribution of budgets in the country. All those things we are fighting today, and it also fights against regional imbalance, which is something we are fighting today. If there is federalism, every region will develop their area. But because we have regionalism right now, there is an imbalance in budget distribution, there's an imbalance in concours, success in concours, there's an imbalance in almost everything. So tribalism and nepotism have taken the place of regionalism. But the fact that if we bring it under federalism, every region will be working out to see how they can develop their area. So it will be difficult for you to find the kind of manipulated politics that you find in
and there will be competition because this region will want to meet up, to develop faster than this. And
even the governors that are coming up, every governor want to do better than the predecessor.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what is happening within the Social Democratic Front at the moment?
Come again.
What is happening now in the party? What are the official decisions taken?
The party is built on a very solid foundation. The SDF is an institution. It's not a small Jangi group where there are no laws. You know, maybe the laws are not even written, but the forefathers, because it took a lot of groundwork, it took a lot of savvy to put down the Bible, what I call the Bible of the SDF, the text. To an extent, I might even say the text, it is infallible, to say the least, such that it doesn't make anyone supreme. It's not like a supreme leader or a supreme person. It's far from that personality cult that is built around or centered around one man. That is why the party has the chairman, the first vice, the first, second, third, fourth. You have the secretary general, first, second, third, fourth. The national communications secretary, first, second, third, fourth. I mean, the assistants, and so, etc., etc. So if this person is not dead, work continues. It's not built or centered around one man. So we are not, the SDF is not built on the personality of one person. So like you are asking, what is happening now in the party? The party is moving normally. The electoral districts are working. Other regions are completing the renewal process. Before I got here, I got an information, posted by the Adamawa, because they are going in for their elections, because the party had given a time limit for all the regions to complete their renewal process, because, well, it is an unfortunate situation that the chairman has died just 1 month. Come on.
So many messages may come, I may not.
No problem.
Yes, please, Mr. Leonard, ask Mr. Kejan Henry where one can buy a copy of the book, The Launching of the SDF. Thanks. I'm Nelson from Boya.
Oh, okay. Thanks very much, Nelson. There will be a lot of literature on when the convention will be coming out or coming up, and I should not tell you, because it's well, of course, you know that we are coming up, and there will be a lot of gadgets. There will be a lot of literature that will be published. You will have them, mind you. Leo can give you my contact, so that when the time comes, you can get to me. We will know how to get the books for you. They're going to print a lot of literature that people will have. And there are some other books that have been printed. They have run out of stock, so they will be available during the convention. But for now, I think we are mourning. We are mourning when things will be official, like the first vice chairperson said in his announcement, announcing the death of the national chairman this morning. That the party will be informing the public when the programs will come up.
Okay. Now, we also had reactions from Gaunduri, where I'm sure it's Congress is holding for the
elective Congress.
Yes, but this morning
elective conference.
Yes, our correspondent in Gaunduri caught up with two militants who also were shocked when they got information about what happened, but they said that the passing rather gave them courage to move on with the vision preached by the Social Democratic Front.
Today we are taking our meeting, which we select our bureau member, regional bureau member, and we know that that day we lost our chairman, John Fru Ndi. In this context, we are so sad, and we just said that we are continuing our fight. The work that is start since 33 years will never stop. People can be sure that we will continue this work. Thank you.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it is a sad news for us to hear that our national chairman is not more. He has been called back to the glory last night by 11 p.m. So concerning the regional convention, the convention was convened quite well before, so the information about his passing away just came and then met the convention. So in spite of that, we are going to hold the convention and then do the election we have to do, put in place the new regional executive committee, and then we'll continue with the work that he has actually handed over to each and every one of us. It's a consternation to all of us all over the nation. And so what we need to do now is to make sure that we continue with the task that he has actually left behind. And let us continue it with dignity so that his memory should not be forgotten.
You see these militants who are talking from Gaunduri, Damawa region, they speak good English?
Yes, that is, thanks very much, Leo. That is Senator Paul Haman. Senator Paul Haman is my boss of the communication.
Okay.
Yes, so he is the first deputy national communication secretary. Well, a very brilliant manager, and she was the first of a former senator, and of course Senator Dr. Madeleine Haroua, the first person who spoke, the lady, Dr. Madeleine Haroua too, former senator, and Dr. Madeleine is the third deputy chairperson of the party of the Social Democratic Front. So they will be holding the elective conference, and the party has already given a deadline for all these things to hold. Well, we were all praying that the national chairman should leave and pass on the relay baton. Unfortunately, what has happened has happened. We have, at one point in time, we were saying that, okay, even if he comes on a wheelchair, it would be a very good thing for us. Even if he's coming to the convention ground on a wheelchair, that would even be a good thing for us, and to bid us goodbye. Because the convention was planned for two folds. The first thing is a send-off for the national chairman, as he has said he's going to retire politically. He takes his retirement, and then a transition where we usher a new leadership of the party. That is the plan that we have. So, but then we will still work on that. I think the SDF, there is continuity because it's an organization that is well structured based on its text.
Okay, an organization that is well structured based on the text. You are talking there about the Constitution of party. Good evening, Mr. Lee. I want to appreciate Apostle Ambe and the other panelists. John Fru Ndi is an icon you will never forget. I hold just one thing very high about him. He accepted a bad name just because he never wanted bloodshed. If he had taken up arms, we wouldn't be better than Sudan today. He is a personal lesson to me. Whenever I'm faced with a challenge that needs a revenge, I think about him and keep calm. He was a peacemaker, and he will definitely inherit the kingdom of God. My regards to the family and the nation at large. Okay. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from. Your tribute, please. Oops. That one is gone. So many calls. Now, what is the legacy that you can't summarize of John Fru Ndi as living back with Cameroonians?
The first legacy about John Fru Ndi is a legacy of peace.
Okay.
Somebody who traded his right in order to keep peace. You see, sometimes we say you don't win by fighting. Sometimes you win by surrendering. Sometimes you don't win by taking your right. Sometimes you win by giving away your right. I think Fru Ndi won peace for Cameroon by giving away his right, which was his victory in the 1992 elections. And I think that makes him more of a hero. It is preferable he died a peaceful man than to have died a hero with the blood of innocent people spilled on the ground. That is a legacy that will never and ever be erased in the sands of time. Secondly, Fru Ndi has shown true democracy. As a matter of fact, I'm yet to find a democratic icon, even in the most democratic society like America, that can compare to Fru Ndi, as compared to the path that he charted in this country. He's truly a pathfinder in the field of democracy. As a matter of fact, he's giving us a path to walk upon. If I intend to stand tomorrow for elections in this country, even if I'm cheated, I won't see the blood of any individual worth the salt in occupying any position in this country. I think that is democracy. Secondly, we saw him walking alongside with the opposition. As a matter of fact, in some countries, the opposition leaders do not want to see their faces. But we saw in a country where the opposition were shaking hands in an occasion that concerned the entire nation, because that 50th unification moment was for the entire nation. It was not a political party's business. Neither was it CPDM or SDF, it was Cameroon. And if you have Cameroon, you should put your political tendencies aside and be able to celebrate what concerns Cameroon. That act alone is democratic. Number three, one of the things I will respect him so far, he maintained his stance all throughout the year. I think that is the characteristic of a leader. Circumstances came to lure him to react contrary to what he had preached so many years. It is easier to preach messages than live the messages. Fru Ndi lived what he preached.
Okay. Before we leave, somebody says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I think we should have a background history of SDF who constituted this dream. How was the chairman selected? How long has he reigned in power? What are the core values of the SDF and why he never occupied the 1992 presidential seat? Yes. Do you think? Yes, can we just come back to it? Because some persons will say, no, Fru Ndi was not there.
Yes, and thank you very much, Leo, for that question. This book, like I say, you have the founding fathers of the Social Democratic Front. You have John Fru Ndi here. You have Dr. Siga Saga, Albert Bokong, Vincent Foucault. You have Aloysius Tebo. They are here. There are 11 of them. Justice Nyowakai, Dr. Alfred Azefo, James Mbanga, Dr. Carlson Anyangwe, and Manuel Akuchu, and of course Professor Clement Gwachiri. So you will find this book, well, copies will be coming, like I had said earlier, when you have them. These are the founding fathers. So like I said,
can you go back to what you said earlier on? How he
yes, now yes, maybe he did not get it, because there is this story. Who signed the party's papers? Because founding fathers, that's what the people who came up with the concept of a political party, how they would create it, and the strategies to launch the party. They were the ones building everything. they were doing that. And then they started changing. In fact, they were behaving like, at the time, like in the Marquis. But who signed that document that they carried to go and deposit at the DO's office? And I said, I read it here, and Fru Ndi was explaining, he explained in this book. This one said, I will not sign because...
Can you read it? Can you read it?
Okay, oh, it's interesting. So in March 1990, the founding fathers assembled at Fru Ndi's Intaricon's residence to sign the party's document and designate party officials. Here, Fru Ndi. The signing proper was done in my Intaricon residence. All of them were present. We sat with Justice Wakai. No, we started with Justice Wakai to sign. He said, well, I've been chairing these meetings, but you know, I will soon come home on retirement from the Supreme Court. And if they see my name on this thing, it's not this document, this thing, they might block my retirement benefits. After a stellar legal career, Wakai anticipated a well-merited retirement, so he did not sign. Justice Nyo Wakai did not sign. Dr. Alfred Azefo was asked to sign. He replied, you know, I am the Deputy Director of Scientific Research. I cannot sign because I am working with a state outfit, and consequently the government will take punitive reprisals against me. And so he did not sign. It was now the turn of Aloysius Table, and here his response. I am a businessman. My wife is not here, and I'm alone with my children. Furthermore, if I sign, my bills will not be paid. I will suffer. What about you, Dr. Carlson Anyangwe? Hear him. I am a lecturer in the university. As you are aware, it's a state university. It will be dangerous for me to sign. And so he did not sign. Because there was tension to pen your signature. Now, Azefo, no, it came now to the turn of Gemu Akochu. He said, I am working with an American non-governmental organization in Yaoundé. If I sign and all of us go in, because it was a matter of death, if all of us go in, who will defend us from outside? Let me remain, so that if there is anything amiss, I will be there working from the background. If the others are arrested, he will now crusade for their release. Azefo said he was a researcher in Bambili working with a state outfit and consequently could not sign. The government will take punitive reprisals against me. Through a wild concatenation of circumstances and a quick for destiny, Ambe Mukang was absent. He was a founding father, but he was absent at that time. He was serving a prison term after the Youngdo Black trial. There is no doubt that if he had attended the meeting, he would have signed the document. Fru Ndi himself corroborates Mukong's leadership claims. Mukong, Fru Ndi says, this is what Fru Ndi says of Mukong, he could have passed for the leader at this point. He had been a popular prisoner. He had quarreled with and written a lot of things about Amadou Aijo or the Aijo regime. All these factors made him more exposed to the Francophones and a political world than the rest of us. That is Fru Ndi talking. He recognized that. Now Fru Ndi remembers that. Everybody now turned down, and this is what Fru Ndi said. No, so when everybody had turned down the invitation to sign the document, now it was now the turn of Dr. Siga Asaga to sign. Asaga told him, okay, I will sign, you will sign as a chairman, I will sign as a secretary general. And then they penned their signatures and carried the document forward. That is how the documents were carried now to be deposited for the launch of the party.
Okay, so I hope it is clear to so many persons, and we just have come to the end of today's edition of Prime Hour, an edition that was dedicated to the man, John Fru Ndi, emblematic, enigmatic leader of the Social Democratic Front, who left us last night. We and Cameroonians across all 10 regions are bereaved and mourning this great political baba. We are in tears and hoping that God grants grace to his family, to the SDF militants also to bear the loss, and also to continue living so that the SDF can even come out stronger after this demise. We want to thank you, Apostle Ambe, Valintine, for coming here today to talk about the man, John Fru Ndi.
Thank you, Mr. Louis. It's always a joy to be here to help educate the public. May the soul of the chairman rest in perfect peace. We miss him.
We also thank you, Kejang, for coming and throwing light on the person, John Fru Ndi.
Thank you very much, Leo, and of course we congratulate our televiewers who have been pouring their own tribute. The torrent of tribute coming from them is a sign that the chairman was a political dinosaur that will not be replaced anymore. So we thank them graciously, and of course let me make a last plea that the books, people will now have to buy the books. The party is working to make sure there are more prints, so that when the convention will be summoned, as we are preparing for his, we're still mourning, well, I think people will probably get copies of the books.
Okay.
All the literature about the Social Democratic Front.
We want to thank you all who took time off to watch today's edition of the program. So many messages are coming in, as well as calls, but we can't take all of them. Thank you, Desmond and Eli, for production. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.